You have reached the turning point in your life where you find yourself pulling away from the noise and the crowds. The people you once enjoyed now feel like distraction, but a small part of your mind wonders if something is not right with you, that you're drifting so far inward and others might begin to view you as strange. You worry that you might even lose your connection to the world entirely, but of course that's never going to happen. That pull you feel toward that stillness is not a problem. It's a natural signal that your soul is asking for space. Solitude is not the lonely space you imagine it to be. It's the only place where your higher self finally gets to speak. By the time we are finished here, you will know exactly why this is happening and how to move through it. Before we dive in, if this kind of content resonates with you, come find me at luminaryflow.com. There's a free gift waiting for you. You'll find the link in the top comment below. Now let's get back into it. Most people confuse those two very different states of being, and this confusion between loneliness and solitude is the root of your worry. Loneliness is born from the feeling that something is missing, which leads you to believe that the only way to feel whole is through the presence of someone else. Loneliness means that you're handing the key to your own happiness to somebody else. And when they leave, the empty space inside you only grows louder. Solitude is something else entirely, because in this state you're no longer searching outward for a reflection of yourself. You're simply finding what was always there. And it has nothing to do with whether other people are in the room or not. It's about where your sense of wholeness comes from. Think of it this way: when you're always around others, you're always reacting to their energy and their moods. You find yourself adjusting your words and your thoughts to match the environment. And eventually there's no room left to simply be who you are. The soul does not reveal itself in noise, because stillness is the only place where you stop performing and finally start listening to your own inner truth. This is where your higher self lives, far away from the conversations you have with others or the opinions they hold. Your higher self is the part of your essence that already knows everything you need to know. Yet it speaks only when the rest of the world goes silent. Most people never hear this voice. Not because it's absent, but because they never stop long enough to hear what it has to say. You may still carry the worry about seeming strange to those around you, especially when you prefer the quiet over going out. But remember this: every seeker and every soul who has ever found something real had to go inward first. They did not do this because something was wrong with the world, but because they realized the answer was never out there to begin with. This pull you feel is ancient and natural, and deep down you know this. Now that you understand why the solitude is necessary, let's look at what it does to you and how you can begin to use it. There are 3 simple practices that unlock the real power of being alone. They work because they all achieve the same result by bringing you back to your true self. The first practice is walking in nature entirely by yourself. This is not what most people imagine it to be. It's not physical exercise, and it's not a way to escape your life for an hour. Walking alone in nature is a form of active listening, where your mind begins to slow down. while your body settles into its natural rhythm. In that stillness, the quiet, knowing part of your essence begins to surface. How does this happen so naturally? It happens because nature does not demand anything from you. It does not need you to play a role, and it holds no opinion about who you are or what you should be doing. In that space, the noise of other people's energy stops pressing against you, which allows you to start hearing your own frequency again. You're not hiding away from the world when you choose to walk alone, but rather you're returning to yourself, and that's a completely different thing. The world will still be waiting for you when you get back from your walk, but you will be more yourself when you return. That is the only point of this exercise. Even a short walk of 20 or 30 minutes is enough to shift your internal state so that the mind stops spinning and the thoughts slow down. The higher self is waiting quietly beneath all that mental noise, and these few moments give it the room it needs to come out. The second practice you should consider is journaling. Journaling is not about keeping a diary or recording the events of your day. It's the act of seeing what you really think for the first time, rather than repeating what you've been told to think. It's how you separate your own feelings from the beliefs you absorbed from the world around you. When you sit alone with a page and a pen, the paper does not judge you or argue with your perspective, and it never needs you to hold back on what you have to say. It simply reflects back what's already living inside you. You can start simply by writing down what drains your energy and what lights you up, or perhaps by exploring some thoughts you've been pushing away. That thought you return to again and again, but never let yourself finish, is where the real work happens. Do not worry about polished sentences, because the only thing that matters here is your honesty. This is the place where old beliefs begin to dissolve and lose their power over your life. Once you see it written down in plain words, you can finally see whether it's truly yours or if it was simply handed to you a long time ago. Journaling is how you begin to tell the difference, what's yours and what's not. The third practice is visualization. Most people hear that word and immediately think of daydreaming or wishful thinking, as if they're going to pretend their life is something it is not. But that's not the point. In the stillness, when the noise of the world is quiet, you can see the version of yourself that already exists on the other side of your worries. That version of you is not imaginary or made up. It's real and simply operating on a frequency you have not fully tuned into yet. When you sit quietly with your eyes closed and your body still, picturing your life in full alignment with your soul is not an act of pretending. You are rehearsing for what is to come, practicing your next step by familiarizing yourself with a state of mind you have not before physically entered. This matters because the soul always moves toward what's utterly true. When you visualize clearly, you're not making things up. You're tuning yourself to a signal that is already broadcasting within you. You're simply learning how to receive it. All three of these practices build the same thing, which is a deep sense of trust in yourself. You begin to trust that you do not need the noise to feel whole, and you realize that the answers you have been looking for were never outside of you to begin with. Your higher self does not compete with noise, it does not shout over the crowd, and it never sends urgent messages to force its way through the chaos of your daily life. It whispers to you, and a whisper can only be heard when you're quiet enough to listen. So in this case, solitude is not a place where you go to be alone. It's actually the place where you go to find guidance. When you're constantly surrounded by other people, you're living inside their frequency and absorbing their fears, their judgments, and their unsettled energy. You adjust yourself to match their energy without even realizing you're doing it. And slowly the distance between you and your own truth grows wider. Solitude is how you recalibrate your being and return to your own signal. There is something here worth understanding, which is that every soul throughout history who found their true path had to go inward first. Because the guidance you need can never come from the outside world. It has to come from within, from that deeper and older part of yourself. Your higher self is very patient while it waits for you to get quiet enough to finally hear what it has to say. It's really that simple. You are not out of alignment, and you're not strange, nor are you falling behind in some race that does not exist. The pulling away you feel from the noise and the crowd is not a loss of your old life, but rather your soul asking for the space to become what it already is. It has always known the way home, and it simply needs you to stop running long enough to notice and follow your inner light. You've been searching for something real that does not shift depending on who you're with. That essence is already inside you, and it always was, because the silence is not empty at all. In truth, that quiet is full of everything you've been looking for. Stop running from the stillness and simply sit in it, letting it hold you, because your higher self is already there waiting. If this resonated with you, come find me at luminaryflow.com. There's a free gift waiting for you there, and you'll also receive my newsletter with thoughts and inspiration behind each video. You'll find the link in the top comment below.